Good evening, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network. I'm your host, Slick Sixguns, and I'm here to provide education, tips, and community for those interested in the Western shooting sports. If you're interested in stuff like that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's pack our wagons and see what's being discovered out west. Good afternoon, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Sixguns Network Facebook page. I am tuning in to you live from Texas here, and as promised, we have another episode of, you guessed it, Coffee with Slick Sixguns. So, get out your coffee, get out your favorite beverage for your 5 o'clock somewhere. I know that everybody out there is tuning in and excited to see what we have to talk about today. I'm sure you guys have gone ahead and read a little bit about what I am going to present in previous posts and maybe on the description of this video. So let's get out our coffee first. Cheers to everyone out there. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I am so glad to see that we have some people on here. I will probably be talking to you all and giving you some good shout outs, so by all means, let it light up in the comments section. As always, let me know what you guys are drinking. I love to hear what you guys are doing, you know, whether you be actually out on the job or whether you be just hanging out at home. And, you know, as the saying goes, thank God it is Friday, or TGIF. So we are well on our way towards a great end of the week. I'm going to say cheers again. Alright. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of precursory things before we actually get started. I'm going to let you know that these live streams are strictly meant for you to get to know me. It's for you to ask questions of me and obviously of anything that I am presenting. We can bring up topics or whatever. It's meant to be an interactive conversation between me and the viewer so that I can essentially have more of a deeper connection with you guys, with my community, and also so we can share, you know, common aspects of what we are interested in. So, this is supposed to be interactive. I hope it ends up being that way. If not, it'll just be me talking to the sound of my own voice and listening to all that stuff. So, you know, and I can't really complain about that, considering that at this point, you know, I'm the only one in the room. So that's all right. Anyway, enjoy your coffee, enjoy whatever you're drinking, and let's get ready for this episode. So I want to go ahead and say, first off, before I get into more of the content, I would like to say that if this is some kind of content that you are interested in, feel free to go ahead and go to my Patreon account, go into my Buy Me a Coffee. You can always be a sponsor for This Morning Cups of Coffee if you are interested, and the link is in the description below. You know, and we can go ahead and talk about that all day. I would like to thank Santee from Arizona Ghost Riders for actually sponsoring this video, because he was one of the ones who actually did buy me a cup of coffee. So, shout out to Santee. I hope Bill Brazelton is excited and is watching this episode, because it's probably going to be one of his favorite firearms that we are going to cover. However, I'm sure he is happy with my Spencer in his collection, so needless to say. So if Bill Brazelton wants to buy me a coffee too, maybe he'll get a firearm for free. I don't know. We'll see. All right. What are we going to be talking about today? So what I do with these live streams, other than interact with my audience, is I am going to go ahead and bring on a particular firearm from my collection. And this is anything that is on my YouTube channel currently, hasn't been on my YouTube channel before, and we basically talk about it. I'm going to tell you how much I paid for it, because you never know, someone may be interested in buying this type of firearm. They may be thinking about getting into this firearm. They may be just having a general interest in it, and I want to provide information so that they can make their own informed decision on whether it's worth it to them or not to go ahead and buy it. I'm also going to be talking about what do I use it for, and of course in there is going to be the implied question of, well, have I actually shot it? I am going to be talking about the specific some of the specific aspects of the firearm, specifically showing you some of the physical features of it. We will gloss over it and drool over it, whatever you want to do. And then, we will talk about maybe my thoughts or opinions on it. What this video is not going to be is, it is not going to be an in-depth review. It is not going to be a historical video. If that is something that you really want to get into, I always post those more on my YouTube channel. So that is something that you want to keep in mind while you are watching this video. If you have specific questions about the firearm that I'm going to be bringing up, by all means, go ahead and ask. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. If I can't answer it, I will let you know. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and let's go ahead and bring up the firearm. I want to go ahead and let you guys know that this firearm has been safety checked prior to bringing it on camera. So for all of those range safety officers out there and those keyboard warriors, I'm going to let you know that it is okay to handle this firearm, but I will go ahead and show clear just to make sure everyone is okay with it. Alright, I'm going to show clear, and you can see that this firearm is unloaded. Nothing is in it that is going to actually hurt myself or the camera. There is no one behind the camera, so wherever this firearm is pointing, it won't be pointed at anyone in the immediate vicinity. I'm also going to go ahead and show you guys some cases. They are not loaded ammunition, they are only cases, but I want to show you this because this is the type of ammunition you can have if you choose to get this type of firearm. And that is going to be brass shell casings. These are unloaded, no primers, no propellant, no projectiles in them, and I will be demonstrating a little bit in this video just with what these look like when you actually put these in the firearm, and also how they unload, and I'm going to tell you kind of why I got them as well. So we will talk about that as well kind of later as we get into the video, and we may talk about some specifics. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. We are going to get started talking about the actual firearm. Okay, so first off, if you guys have read the description, what is this firearm? Well, this is the TTN Hammered Double, and this is imported by Cimarron Firearms, and I got this from, actually, it is on the used market. I did not get this as a buy that I'm not the first time owner of this firearm, so this is a used firearm. It is not a old Colt or anything like that. It is a reproduction. This is a TTN imported by Cimarron. Let's go ahead and show you kind of some of the particulars. You're going to go down to the butt plate here, or the recoil pad, whatever you want to call it. It's made of just simply steel. It is not color case. It is not color case hardened. In fact, you can see that it's got some use on it. Somebody's got some discoloration there. Going down to the stock. You are going to go ahead and see that this is a wooden stock, obviously not plastic or anything like that. The wood is actually very nice and rich, and it is very well put together. I must say that as far as repros are considered, this is actually some of the better wood that I have seen on a repro. And to tell you that, you get some of the imports from Uberti or something like that, you're going to see kind of a slight tinge, a reddish tinge in color, and it's definitely not looking like that. So I really like how thick the wood is. I like the color of it. It's just very sturdy looking for this type of shotgun. You got a nice grip on it, you know, very classic look. It's actually kind of thin looking, more so than some of the other shotguns I actually use in competition. So it just kind of goes along with sort of how they used to originally be made, that they kind of had thinner, you know, thinner tangs on them, if you will. Going down to the actual receiver area, you're going to see that it's got rabbit ear hammers on it, and you'll see that they are actually extremely close together, and I'll kind of show you in the operation of how beneficial that is. You're obviously going to see the latch here that's going to release the barrel, and it is a 12 gauge. I don't know if you can see that. It's marked right there on top. It is a 12 gauge. You know, and it's very short. It is a cut down version. It is a coach gun, and it's got a very nice thick front bead right there. Looking at the forend, you're going to see that it is also not obnoxiously sticking out. You can see that it's pretty much a little bit skinnier than the actual barrels right here, so I think that's kind of neat. You're going to see the forend release latch right here, and you're going to see that there's also kind of a bit of a lip right here as it kind of comes away from the barrel, allowing you to easily just grip here and pull it off. It is a double trigger, not a single trigger like some people have with certain shotguns, but it is double, you know, with one slightly offset from the other. And it's just overall kind of neat. So I will give you a once over gloss look again, so you can kind of just enjoy it. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and open her up and just show you guys how relatively easy it is to open her. You got the extractor right here, and you got nice barrels, nice shiny barrels right there with a huge lug right there to hold them in. So very nice, just very sturdy looking, very strong looking. You know, and with the hammers you can reach over with your thumbs like so, and you can just cock them both at the same time. So very, very cool. So we'll cover kind of some of the features a little bit, but I'm not going to go too far in depth here. Alright, feel free to ask me any questions that you have of this shotgun as we go on. I'm going to cover more in depth of kind of what I paid for it, what I use it for, what I think about it, my overall thoughts of it, but by all means this is not a comprehensive review. And I'm going to get my coffee out before we get started on that. So let me know how you're doing today in the comment section. I'd love to hear. My coffee mug today is actually my chemical core cup. I have different mugs that I use. I have a single action army cup. I have a chemical core cup. I have a cowboy mug, you know, with a mural on it. I've got, you know, just an all metal barrel looking mug. They're just, I got some pretty interesting paraphernalia when it comes to coffee. So if you're a coffee nerd or just a coffee fanatic, I will say that I definitely enjoy that with you. So cheers. All right. Okay, as I said, I'm going to talk about what I paid for this. So I bought this gun about 2 years ago. Okay. I bought it on the used market. And I want to let you guys know that where did I get this firearm from? I got it from Gunbroker. So, I know some people have their own issues with GunBroker. I don't mind it. I've heard it's not really the first place that you need to go to get collectibles or anything for that matter if you want cheaper prices, but, it's also depending on how big your pocketbook is and, what you're willing to sacrifice and pay for. So, I will say that me purchasing on a GunBroker, as much as shotguns typically, I'm not going to say all of them, I'm going to say typically you find shotguns cheaper than pistols and rifles. Okay, so this was no exception. It wasn't extremely expensive. So specifically, I was looking for this to be on the cheaper end, but I was prepared to pay more just in case. And the cost that I put out was, you're looking at about $400 to $500 to buy this. So I thought it was relatively affordable. You may not think so, and that's okay. I'm gonna sneeze. So, I thought it was relatively affordable. You may not necessarily think so. But $400 to $500 is what I got this for, and that was a couple years ago. That may have changed. I know that Cimarron sells more commemorative ones with different types of frames on them, from the color case hardened to the Doc Holliday special. I know that they got that, which I think looks more like the one from the movie Tombstone. And of course those go for a little bit heavier price tag. But I didn't want that. I just wanted a standard TTN, and I specifically wanted it. I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself, but what I wanted to get this for was obviously because I am a collector. For those of you who watch this channel on YouTube and on Facebook, you're going to see that I collect several different firearms, and I am collecting just firearms that are repros or originals of that era. So that was one reason why I wanted it and one reason why I got it. I also wanted to shoot Classic Cowboy if I wanted to in SAS, because that's one of the expectations or one of the things that you need in order to actually shoot Classic Cowboy is you would need a hammered double. Just make sure that you reference the rule book. But one of the expectations is that you have a hammered double on there for Classic Cowboy. So this fit the bill pretty well. Is this the only hammered double you can get? Obviously not. Why did I specifically get the TTN? Well, as I said, I really like the feature of how close these rabbit ear hammers are. I have had, I'm going to tell you a little story. I have had other hammered doubles before, and I got rid of them. That doesn't mean that they aren't something that if you want to pursue, if you want to get those specific types of hammered doubles, you can get them. But the one that I had before this was JW2000. I think it was like a Chinese replica of a hammered double. And the problem with it was that it wasn't really smooth. It wouldn't necessarily drop open when I just released the latch here. Okay? So, but this one does. That one really didn't. That was something that kind of was a big turnoff for me. So, that doesn't mean that it's a bad gun. I am not saying that. That just wasn't my preference. I will also say that the hammers on that gun were farther apart. I want to say that they were more out here, so much to the point where you couldn't cock them at the same time. You had to literally go one and then the other. I didn't really like that feature. So it wasn't also necessarily, in my opinion, clean on the fit and finish. Obviously, a lot of people in the SAS community do gunsmithing work and like to have their guns worked on. That doesn't mean that the JW2000 or whatever it was called at the time, I don't even know if they make them anymore. I haven't seen one in a while. It doesn't mean that they aren't good guns, okay? But I will say that my satisfaction of using this in competition versus that, I'd say there's almost no competition with this, in my opinion. For me to really cover that, I would have to cover an in-depth review. And so that kind of leads into my next point is, have I used this in competition? I told you why I bought it. Have I shot it? Yes, I have. This is a shotgun, a weapon in my collection I have actually shot. I will say that, I do enjoy it. I probably don't shoot this as often as I should. But then again, I am not the typical SAS shooter of competitive category. That doesn't mean that I don't like to go fast or want to get faster. By all means, I've definitely been down that road. I do have a slicked up 73. I do have a tuned double barrel. I do have tuned Vaqueros. So, by all means, the potential for me to want to go fast is there, and I have certainly thought about it. But I did not buy this to go fast. And the way that I do SAS is more for the nostalgia and the different types of firearms that you can have. And I try, theoretically, to actually shoot one different firearm each time I go. Which, as some of you guys know, the only way to really get good or faster at a sport is to practice. And I don't really practice. And I don't practice enough with the firearms I have to really be as fast on all those weapons at any given time. So I'm not the fastest. I am not super fast with this hammer double. And, does that mean that I could be? Yes, I could be. Do I try when it comes to competition? Yes, I do. Because there is a technique with every different firearm that you have. So I will say that, there is a potential there. So, but I have shot it. I have used it in competition. I do enjoy using it in competition. Kind of a funny story. I actually bought this a couple years ago. And the first time that I actually shot this in competition was just recently. So it shows you that I, haven't really been able to practice with all my firearms, and I haven't been able to utilize all my firearms. But for those of you who have gone back through my videos, you kind of know the reason why that is, other than COVID. I'll go ahead and show you guys this firearm here again. And then I'll kind of talk to you a little bit about, the ammo that I shouldn't say ammo, the cases that I got for it so I can do some reloading. There you go. Very nice looking. Of course, I could probably just do this all day and just have people drool all over it as I move this gun back and forth. Without talking. Just go like this. There you go. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know. Okay, so let's talk about the cases. These right here are brass shotgun shell cases. I've seen people use them in competition, and one of the things that I wanted to do, and I'm sure most of you have heard me talk about it, is I want to get into black powder shooting, and I figured that reloading brass shotgun shell cases would be ideal. Let me know what you guys think of that. But these are made by MagTech, and they have large pistol primers holes instead of your standard shotgun shell primers. And obviously you can see that they're pretty large. So they're 12 gauge, very nice looking, just very historical looking, if you will, and kind of fancy. You know, I am more of into the fancy stuff, so I will say that that's kind of neat. Let's just go ahead and show you how they go in. We drop them in here as I fumble with it a little bit. There you go. Very nice. And then you can see that they just drop right out. So that's kind of neat as well. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Anyway. So that kind of goes into that a little bit. Sorry. Just had to go find shot shell casing. Alright. Well, let me know what your questions are. This is quite interesting. You know, hammered double, very iconic, very classic looking. Some of you guys may have originals out there. Let me know what you think. And yes, it is hot in front of the light. I will say that. Probably doesn't help that it's summer and I'm also wearing a hat that really doesn't breathe. So, very cool. Anyway, okay, so what are my thoughts on this shotgun? So, I've kind of talked about it. I've given you a price point that how much it typically costs if you're looking at buying something like this. I've talked about what I use it for. I've talked about why I got it. Now let's talk about what are my thoughts on it. Okay, now this isn't by all means a comprehensive review. I will get there. This is more or less just me telling you my opinion and my opinion alone. And maybe you have some experience with the TTN and you can share those in the comment section, and maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. This is an opinion. What is my overall opinion of this? Well, I'd say that this so far has been the best hammered double I have actually used. And as I already stated, I love the wood on it. I'm really excited about the fact that the wood is very well put together. It's just very nice and thick. It's very strong looking, prominent. It is not super overly glossy. You know, it's not like a collector's piece, but it is classic but utilitarian. The action itself is extremely strong looking, you know, and it's very I don't really feel I have to do a whole lot of work to it either. You know, I can just drop this with one hand, so that's kind of nice. And obviously there's a reason for that. There's no springs that you're gonna have to, you don't have to cock any internal hammers. It's all manually cocked, so therefore there's nothing restraining the barrel and it just drops under gravity. But it is a very strong lockup. It's a very strong looking gun. It is a very classic looking gun. And it's just so tough. I don't know how better to describe it. It's just very tough looking. You know, it's kind of intimidating, if you will, you know, to see it. And, you know, it's just a very well put together shotgun. I like that. You know, I don't think it's flimsy or anything like that. And, you know, the fact that it also doesn't have an external safety like some, you know, internal hammer shotguns have, you know, is kind of appealing. More of the classic look to it. I think that's pretty awesome. So, in fact, really the only safety you have, and this is the one thing I will cover as a detail, is the fact that the hammers are actually rebounding. So you're going to see, for example, that this hammer is going to come forward, and then the instant that I let go of it, it's going to rebound back. And what you're also going to see is that unless that trigger is pulled, which it goes forward now, but when I let go and I try to push it, that hammer is not going forward at all. Okay, so I think that's kind of neat. You know, a cool little safety feature without actually taking away from the historical look of it. So I just think that is kind of interesting. You know, what are your questions? Let me know. I'd like to hear. Thank you for tuning in. And if you are just joining in, we are getting more towards the end of the video, so you kind of missed out, but that's okay. You know, I'll try to answer all questions to the best of my ability, and if not, then you can catch me on the replay and shoot me a question later, and I'll look at the video later. How's everybody doing out there? It's good to hear. Got a couple comments that, you know, hey, I like your hat. Well, you know, where'd you get it? I got my hat from a mall, of all places. You know, and I like the color of it. It's a good looking color. I think it's one of the Lone Star hat companies, I believe. Somebody asked me a question about that. You know, and you know, let me know what you guys have been up to lately as well. I'd like to hear that. But you know, as always, these videos are meant for fun. It's meant to socialize, so forgive me if I ramble sometime. Just enjoy your coffee. Anyway. Alright, well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will catch you on the next live stream. Have a good one. Description section is a link to our Patreon account if you feel like supporting us. Don't forget to buy me a coffee as well. It's cowgirls and cowboys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. And if you're looking forward to the next video, I'll see you on down the trail. Have a good one.